Welcome to another episode of PPL Pod.
Glad to be here.
So, to start us off today, what could possibly connect a pink octopus from the video game Animal Crossing and a highly classified NSA surveillance database?
It sounds like a total joke setup, honestly.
Right. And let's add to that a 15th century Galician nobleman and an asteroid currently hurtling through the cold vacuum of space.
It is wild when you lay it all out like that.
Yeah. But the answer is actually a single 6-letter word.
Just one word. Which is essentially a map, if you think about it.
A map?
Yeah, a map showing how a very specific sequence of sounds can just, fracture, like bleed into every conceivable corner of human existence and take on widely different lives along the way.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because today we are doing a deep dive into the word and the identity of Marina. And it is frankly astonishing how one simple piece of vocabulary can become a geographic stamp, a global pop culture identity, a military designation, and like a cosmic catalog number all at once.
It really is.
So for you listening, as someone who probably uses language every day without a second thought, we really want to peel back the layers of this linguistic mystery trip today.
And to understand how a word ends up on, say, an asteroid or buried in a government server, we have to start at the bedrock.
Right, the root.
Exactly. We have to look at its most literal, functional definition before we can understand its bizarre global migration.
And the root is incredibly specific. And honestly, it's quite luxurious.
Yeah, at its core, a marina is simply a place for docking pleasure boats.
Right, so we are starting with an image of leisure. Calm coastal waters, safe harbor for small recreational vessels.
Very wealthy, very relaxed.
Exactly. And it's an image that completely dominates the geography of Italy. If you look at a map of the Italian coast, it is absolutely blanketed with the word.
It really is everywhere there.
Yeah, you have Marina di Pisa, Marina di Grosseto, Marina di Gioia Ionica. It operates as like the ultimate geographical shorthand for a sunny Mediterranean coastal town.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to look at human psychology.
How so?
Well, it's about how we use language to shape our physical environment. The word doesn't stay confined to the Italian coast because the feeling it evokes is just universally desirable.
Right. Everybody wants that sunny Mediterranean vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Humans take a word that is so deeply associated with leisure and gentle coastal living, and we begin weaponizing it almost as a branding tool.
Yeah. Weaponizing is a good way to put it. That is exactly what it feels like. It's like Marina is a wildly successful global franchise.
A franchise, yes.
It started as this literal descriptive noun in Italy, but it became this highly exportable brand name. If you were building a multi-billion-dollar hyper-modern development in the Middle East, what do you call it?
The Dubai Marina?
Exactly. You were essentially licensing the Italian Mediterranean brand, right, to give your manufactured coastline a sense of established romance.
You're buying the history with the word.
Yeah. Or you look at Southern California and you get Marina del Rey. But my absolute favorite part of this geographic spread is when the franchise metaphor just completely breaks down.
Oh, when it shows up in places that totally shatter that warm, sun-drenched image.
Yes. Because you leave the warmth of California, you travel past the Mediterranean, and you find yourself looking at Galinda's Island in Antarctica.
The Antarctic example is the most striking, by far.
It is freezing temperatures, howling winds, just jagged ice everywhere. And right there, on a low, rocky point at the literal bottom of the Earth, is Marina Point.
It's absurd.
Are early explorers just being ironic here?
Well, no, actually. It is less about irony and more about the human desire to impose familiarity on the hostile unknown.
Okay, so making it less scary.
Exactly. When explorers or map makers encounter a landscape as brutal and alien as Antarctica, deploying a word like Marina is a psychological anchor.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it brings a sense of nautical romance or European familiarity to an otherwise terrifying and unlivable space. They are essentially taming the map with vocabulary.
Wow, taming the map with vocabulary. I love that. So we have established the real estate. From Dubai to Antarctica, the word marks physical territory. But I want to shift gears here from geography to genealogy.
From places to people.
Right. We move from places on a map to human identity, because the sheer diversity of people who carry this name is staggering.
It spans the globe.
It really does. Let's look at the modern pop culture landscape first.
Yeah.
We have these powerful mononyms, artists known globally by this single word.
Right, the pop stars.
Yeah. There's the Welsh singer-songwriter Marina Diamandis.
Yeah.
You have the Japanese singer Marina Nakamura and the Polish singer Marina Uchenko-Czesna, who actually stylizes her stage name as Marina with a capital R.
Which is fascinating because you have three distinctly different artists: Wales, Japan, Poland.
Completely separate cultures.
Right, completely different musical genres, yet they all anchored their public identity to the exact same sequence of 6 letters.
But see, I can kind of wrap my head around a modern stage name. The historical whiplash of the surnames is what really confuses me here.
The history is where it gets complicated.
Yeah, because you have Justinian Marina, who was a Romanian Orthodox prelate born in 1901. Then you pivot to Alfonso Marina, an American soccer player.
2 very different lives.
Completely. And going back even further, we have the Spanish variants, like Fernando de Andrade de las Marinas, a Galician nobleman and military commander from 1477.
The 15th century knight.
Right. So here's where it gets really interesting. How does a word fundamentally meant to describe a boat dock evolve over centuries to become the surname of a 15th century nobleman or a Romanian prelate?
It's a great question.
I mean, did Justinian Marina's ancestors just own a very nice dock in Bucharest?
What? I mean, that is the logical assumption, right?
Yeah.
But linguistics rarely travels in a straight line like that. The phenomenon you are bumping into here is largely driven by false cognates, and honestly, the physical mechanics of human speech.
False cognates, meaning they look and sound related, but they actually aren't.
Precisely. We tend to think of words as having a single origin point, like a single seed from which every variation grows.
Right, like an evolutionary tree.
Yeah, exactly. But phonetically, Marina has a consonant-vowel structure, and that specific structural rhythm is incredibly pleasing and very easy for the human mouth to pronounce.
No matter what language you speak.
Right, regardless of your native tongue. So different cultures naturally evolve the exact same sound entirely independently of one another.
Well, I see. So the 15th century Galician nobleman, de las Marinas, that surname probably does stem from regional geography, like living near the coast or the sea rooted in the Latin marinas.
Yes, that one has a literal geographic tie.
But the Romanian Orthodox prelate.
The Romanian surname likely has entirely different etymological roots. It perhaps evolved from a local given name like Marin, which just happens to feminize or pluralize into Marina over generations.
So the sounds just converge by accident.
Exactly. History and language create this massive shared umbrella, and suddenly a dictionary's disambiguation page has to somehow organize a Spanish knight, a Romanian prelate, and an American soccer player all into the same linguistic bucket.
It is wild to think about a dictionary struggling to contain all these unrelated threads just because human mouths like making the Marina sound.
It's purely biological in a way.
Yeah. And once a word becomes deeply entrenched as a human identity, carrying all that emotional weight, it inevitably becomes a muse. Which brings us to the arts.
The cultural footprint.
Right. Marina basically explodes as a catalyst for international entertainment.
It crosses centuries and mediums effortlessly. I mean, in the 19th century, there's a very famous poem by the Slovak author Andrej Sladkovic.
And it's simply titled Marina, right?
Yes. It is a sweeping romantic epic. It cemented the word early on as an object of high literary devotion.
And from 19th century Slovak poetry, it just jumps straight into global cinema. The cinematic history of this word is almost bizarrely recursive.
It really is everywhere in film.
It's the title of a 1945 Mexican comedy film. Then, a 1960 German musical film. Jump forward a few decades, and it's the title of a 2012 Indian Tamil language film.
Mexico, Germany, India.
Entirely different film industries using it as their marquee title. It operates like a linguistic John Doe.
John Doe, yeah.
It is just this blank slate of a word that sounds evocative and romantic enough to fit whatever genre you project onto it.
What's fascinating here is the sheer cultural gravity the word possesses, and I think that's best illustrated by what you could call the Rocco Granata loop.
Yes, the Rocco Granata cinematic universe. This is my favorite part.
It's such a great story.
So, in 1959, Rocco Granata, who is an Italian immigrant living in Belgium, writes an accordion-driven pop song. And the title is Marina.
And it becomes massive. A massive, earth-shattering cultural touchstone across Europe. It resonates so deeply that over 50 years later, in 2013, a Flemish director decides to make a biographical film about Rocco Granata's life. You know, his struggles as an immigrant coal miner's son.
Right.
And what is the only logical title for that biopic?
Marina.
Marina.
A single word inspired the song, and then the song's legacy inspired the film, which adopts the exact same name. It really is the ultimate cultural chameleon.
And it doesn't even stop with cinema. It's in literature, like Carlos Ruiz Zafón's 1999 young adult fiction novel Marina. And then it jumps straight into the digital age.
Yes, the video games.
Yeah, anyone who has spent hours cultivating their virtual island in the video game series Animal Crossing knows the pink octopus villager named Marina.
You know, the Animal Crossing character design is actually a perfect synthesis of the word's dual nature.
What do you mean?
Well, she is an octopus, which ties back to the literal, nautical, water-based root of the word.
But her personality type in the game is classified as normal and sweet, which ties directly into the pleasing, romantic, consonant-vowel phonetic structure we discussed earlier.
That makes total sense. It just works everywhere. It sounds grand enough for a 19th century Slovak epic, yet catchy and pleasant enough for a pink video game octopus.
It's very versatile.
But I have to say, up until this point in the deep dive, we have been building a very specific, very gentle illusion for you. We've been talking about pleasure boats, pop stars, poetry, and Nintendo characters.
It's been a very soft, welcoming profile.
Exactly. But the contrast of what comes next is pretty jarring, because Marina has also been completely co-opted by arenas of hard power, rigorous bureaucracy, and absolute secrecy.
The tone shifts dramatically here.
The story takes a sharp turn right into the military. In both Italian and Spanish, Marina literally translates to Navy, which completely strips away the pleasure boat aspect we started with.
We are suddenly talking about armor and warships.
Yeah, national defense. You have the Italian Navy, the Marina Militare. You have the Cuban Navy, the Marina de Guerra Revolucionaria. Going back to the 1930s, you have the Spanish Republican Navy, known as the Marina de Guerra de la República Española.
The word drops the facade of leisure entirely and takes on the cold, heavy weight of state power and global conflict.
And from military might, it shifts into heavy bureaucracy. Like in the Philippines, the massive governing body that oversees their entire maritime industry goes by the acronym Marina.
Right.
But the bureaucratic use that really truly stops you in your tracks is in the intelligence sector.
The NSA.
Yeah. The National Security Agency in the United States operated a highly classified surveillance database. Its whole purpose was to track and store the metadata of millions of internet users. And its codename was Marina.
A massive surveillance apparatus.
Right. So what does this all mean for you? I have to ask you why. Why do secretive intelligence institutions or massive bureaucratic agencies appropriate a word associated with Mediterranean leisure and poetry? Do they just lack imagination?
This raises an important question about how institutions leverage language.
Yeah.
And it is the exact opposite of a lack of imagination. It is highly calculated.
Calculated how?
When military or intelligence agencies need a code name for a classified program, they often intentionally borrow beautiful, soft, or completely unrelated existing words.
Oh, to create cognitive dissonance.
Partially for cognitive dissonance, yes, but partially for mundane bureaucratic obfuscation.
Make it sound boring.
Exactly. If an unclassified budget document passes across a desk and references funding for Project Marina, it sounds like a harmless environmental study, or maybe a postal infrastructure initiative.
Wow, yeah. It does not sound like a sweeping, warrantless metadata surveillance database.
Not at all. Intelligence naming conventions often ruthlessly strip words of their original romantic context. They hollow them out to wear their skin like a disguise.
That is so dark.
Yeah.
So the NSA database Marina isn't a nod to a coastal Italian town. It's a sterile acronym purposefully designed to sound innocent. The word basically gets drafted into the dark arts of espionage.
It does.
And science does the exact same thing, albeit for different reasons, right? Scientific naming conventions are just as opportunistic in grabbing this word.
Yes, though science uses language not to hide, but to catalog the infinite.
Right. We look up at the cosmos, and we find asteroid 1202, its name, Marina. We look down at the ground, at botany. There is an entire genus of legumes named Marina.
And the ferns.
Yeah, you travel to the harsh climates of Chile and Argentina, and you will find a specific species of fern classified as the Lechnum pennamarina.
The asteroid is a brilliant example of how naming philosophies evolve, actually.
How so?
Well, in the early days of astronomy, celestial bodies were strictly named after mythological figures.
Right, like Venus and Mars?
Exactly. But by 1931, when asteroid 1202 was discovered by a Soviet astronomer, the rules had loosened quite a bit. Discoverers could essentially name these massive rocks hurtling through the vacuum of space after their colleagues or family members.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it is widely believed asteroid 1202 was named in honor of Marina Lavrovaberg, who was a fellow researcher.
So an astronomer wants to honor a colleague, and suddenly a word meant for docking boats in Italy is permanently attached to a massive space rock orbiting between Mars and Jupiter.
It's incredible.
It really brings us full circle back to that surreal list we started with. The video game octopus, the classified NSA database, the 15th century Galician nobleman, the asteroid.
When you view all these data points together, Marina stops being a mere vocabulary word. It becomes a testament to human resourcefulness.
What do you mean?
I mean, we reuse and recycle language to an extreme degree.
We really do. We take a single 6-letter sequence of sounds and we stretch it across the absolute limits of human experience.
Exactly.
We use it to dock our boats on a lazy afternoon. We use it to name our children. We write our grandest love poems to it.
We use it to command our warships.
We hide our deepest government secrets behind it.
Hmm.
And we use it to catalog the stars.
Words do not just have definitions, they have real estate. And the real estate of this one particular word spans from the freezing ice of Antarctica all the way to the asteroid belt.
I promised you at the start of this deep dive that it would change how you look at the dictionary, and I think we delivered.
The most provocative thing you can do now is apply this lens to your own daily life.
Yeah.
Look around at the incredibly common everyday words you use in casual conversation. Which of them are secretly anchoring an asteroid millions of miles away?
Right.
Which of them are hiding a classified government database or inspiring a musical film halfway across the world? The language we take for granted is living 1,000 different lives all at once, right under our noses.
A single word holding together the most beautiful, the most mundane, and the most formidable parts of the human experience. Thanks for listening to PeoplePod. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.